I know my wife is not a fan of Star Trek.
No.
Like, not.
Does he have to bring Samuel L. Jackson in?
Yeah, I think he should. You know what I mean? Just as long as there's no stakes on the Enterprise. You know what I mean?
But that's what's exciting about this.
This Romulan ale is a tasty beverage.
Like Captain Kirk's like an intergalactic cocksmith. You know what I mean?
George Takei is gay.
I wasn't going to go that gay, but sure.
Stick around, 'cause I am coming back. And I know someday I'm gonna make it big.
Talk about shit we talk about anyway. Just sit here.
Seriously.
That's the plan. That's the dream. But anyway, all right, let's get to the show. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Nick, Jon, and Jamie Show. I'm John.
Nick.
And I'm Jamie.
So, I think we're establishing a bit of a format. We were kind of reckless and crazy on those first couple ones and meandered all over the place. And I think we should still do that. But I like getting into the news. We mentioned it last week. And we wind up talking about it anyway. So
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think, so what do we got? We got Ready Player One that's coming up this weekend. The last thing that we did see was Black Panther. Black Panther, holy shit, #1 superhero movie in North America.
Beat out Avengers.
In North America. Now, globally, it's #3.
Who's 2? I know Avengers.
Avengers and Ultron.
Really?
Yeah.
Ultron?
1.4, I think, and 1.8 billion.
Yeah, I guess they just really. But I think this Avengers coming up is going to smash, but all of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It's the one that ties.
It's going to be a $2 billion franchise.
Oh, I think it's going to rival Force Awakens with money.
What did Force Awakens do?
It did $2 billion,
Did it?
close to $2 billion. It, obviously, Avatar is #1. It popped 2.4 or something like
Comes
that.
out on Blu-ray Tuesday.
Ooh, that's Mad Rush.
Even though I'm still gonna buy it. Like a dope.
So did you see the director in The Jedi? The documentary?
He put it
No.
on our thing. He sent it
Oh
to us.
no, I didn't watch it.
They did a documentary of like the making of sort of like Ryan Johnson's journey.
Who is the guy, his second? That I couldn't
can't
stand
remember.
that guy.
Did you see the
he
tweet
was-
I said or the text I said? Shit?
Yeah.
I don't respect this guy anymore. First of all, he called Obi-Wan Kenobi Obi, and I was like, nobody's ever called him Obi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it makes you look like you're disconnected from the material, and people are looking to take advantage of whatever ineptitude led to that movie.
Yeah, you're damn right.
You know, so it's like, ooh, and you know what? I thought it was going to be a marketing thing, but it seemed pretty neutral when they were doing the documentary.
Pretty legit, as you would say, Jamie. It
Yeah.
was really like I didn't watch it all like you did, but I watched probably about like 60% of it, and it seemed like they weren't shying away from stuff that was like negative towards you, like the Mark Hamill thing. I actually went back and saw that, where Mark Hamill objected to in the beginning to Ryan and that whatever that guy's name is,
his
about
producer.
his producer, how they were handling Luke Skywalker in it. He didn't like it.
Yeah, he flat out was like, I don't like the way they're handling Luke Skywalker.
And now he's backtracked in tweets and stuff since then, but I have a feeling he never liked.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. He's still got to make a living, right? And
No, and
he
that's
can't-
his living.
He can't alienate himself. Like, so...
Especially
yeah,
if he wants to be in 9.
I have a feeling that maybe, somebody might have said, hey, man, we're trying to sell this movie. You're killing us. You know?
Yeah, like we said, I think JJ has a big, tall task to handle with 9.
Yeah, he's got a lot
He
to
goes,
do.
and I mean, that goes to Jacqueline Kennedy. She was in that thing a ton. And she
Kathleen Kennedy,
head of Lucasfilm. She's the Feige of the Star Wars world.
Yep.
And I think she's failing at that job. Because
she's a badass, too, man.
She usually is, but I mean, to let this guy have free reign like that and then give him another free reign on a trilogy, I mean, where's her vision? She's the one supposed to have the vision, not the directors.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Feige does such a good job. He has the vision. He goes to the directors. Here's my vision. do something with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Marvel does such a fantastic job, because there's one, like we talked about last week between Marvel and DC, there's one person with the vision. They give the vision and say, make a script out of this. Not like somebody just walks in and says, well, because supposedly he trashed JJ's script for 8. JJ didn't have a script, but he had a vision. And supposedly
Ryan Johnson
went a totally different direction than JJ originally had planned.
Yeah, well, that's you're going to love this part, Jamie. So they touch on budget. He actually signs off on the budget, right? Like the James Gunn had a like $180 million budget for Guardians, and he's like, I can't make my movie for this. I need to, and I think they went to like 240 or something like that, 230. Ton of money, but that movie crushed. It's still making money for him, right? And so Ryan Johnson signing off on this budget, I can only imagine it's probably up around the $200 million range.
Or easily probably 3, maybe.
Yeah, and then you go and look at the decisions that he made that cost the movie in content that he just seemed out of his element. Like, it was almost too big. Like, he invested a ton in the casino scene. Like, massive set.
He did.
Yeah, he put the money in all the wrong places.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then there's a scene where they said, we can go CG on the Bantha, where Luke goes and squeezes the milk out of the tin.
Yeah.
And he's like, they've had to go to an island and fly this massive practical effects that was creature creation, right, to there in order to shoot those scenes.
More wasted money.
More wasted money.
But Nick brings up a good point. Like, you know, you have somebody with a vision and they stick with it, right? So, like Feige, you know, he's not going off the comics either. It's not that whole all the Avengers and stuff. It's not true to the comics, but he still went with his vision, and it's still like a solid story.
Yeah,
that's my point. You know, I was saying that before. You know, like Star Wars, you can veer off the path, right?
Yeah,
and still make a good story. But they veered off the path, and like you're saying, is they dumped a lot of money in all the wrong places, and now they're off in the weeds.
Yeah, it was bad.
Not to mention, he did editing during the movie shots. Usually editing's done at the end of the movie. He talked about that. He's like, I just couldn't wait. I had to start editing. The reason why I take that, like when we watched the original Star Wars movie, how they edited, John, you showed me that. The wife did the editing. There were scenes that they shot supposed to be for later in the movie, and she goes, no. That should be this over here.
She made a totally different movie.
And there's also a reason why you have a different editor than the director, because they can take out what they...
Yeah, you need different eyes on the story.
And he was doing both.
Yeah, that's
and he was killing it. Yeah, not killing it in a good way, killing it in a very, very, very harmful way.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I don't know what Catherine Kennedy sees in this guy, to be totally honest with you. I know I don't want to jump down this rabbit hole again, but it just even watching that killed me. You were even saying it in the text, like it was fucking. The first, I don't care.
Swear jar, Luke Cage swear jar.
Cha-ching. He was just fucking killing it. You just watch what he was doing through the whole thing, and you're like, "What are you doing? This makes no sense."
Yeah.
You're just trying to, because the problem with him is, I think he was too much of a fanboy, and he was trying to get something out in his own dumb head that just. It just didn't make. He was trying to be so different.
Yeah, it didn't go.
He was trying to be so different to make it his own Star Wars that it was just it didn't mesh.
You can be a fanboy. I mean, Ready Player One is supposedly getting good reviews. Spielberg is talking it up like nobody's business. It is a homage to all this nostalgic fanboy stuff that we know and love, right? And it's supposedly they pulled it off, right? And so it's just you're a craftsman, right? There's guys that can go and swing a 20-ounce hammer and build a frame out a house, but then there's guys that can go and carve intricate detail in a fine piece of furniture, right? And I think he was building houses when he should have been paying attention to the details.
And two other things I just want to point out before we move on about this. First of all, he's a no-name director. They should have never, ever went with a no-name director for such a monumental scale movie.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, Catherine Kennedy did an interview before Force Awakens, and she said in the interview, the movie The Force Awakens was all about Luke, even though Luke didn't show up in and where he was going and what he became.
His journey.
And then you show him in The Last Jedi and you make him look like a weirdo.
Yeah.
So that's what he became? That's what you led up to?
Yeah.
That absolutely made no sense where the theme of The Force Awakens was going.
Well, and you heard that one line, and we got to put this to bed, but you heard that one line where he was like, yeah, Luke thought he was going to be Luke, and he's not. He said Obi, and I wanted to reach through the screen and snatch his tongue out.
Even if you were going to make him into
but Obi-Wan Kenobi wasn't even that when you found him. He was in hiding, but he was still...
He was regal. He had that, he wasn't sucking some weird thing's tit. You know? I mean, he was just doing what a Jedi Master should be doing.
Nick, you don't gotta sell it to me, man. You know my feelings on it, dude.
Well, when he sent me that,
I
just
know.
really
It's a bummer.
irritated.
Check it out. You're gonna feel rage and contempt, but check it out because it's really interesting. I think it's interesting, frustrating, but interesting.
Of where their mindset was when they were making the movie.
Yeah. So real quick, just let's continue with the news real quick, and we talked about this just a bit. Men in Black. They're doing a reboot for Men in Black. I don't think it's going to be a remake. I think it's
an add-on.
It's going to be a
reboot.
Yeah, it's going to be just another story within the Men in Black.
So you think like J or K are going to be one of them is going to be involved in it? You think
Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith have not been? It's not been noted that they've signed up for anything.
I think that would be a mistake if they were not going to reboot it and they were going to just add on. And you didn't have a cameo from one of those guys. Yeah. I think that would be a mistake.
Well, it's Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson.
Well, I like both those actors and actresses, but I think it's a mistake because you have so many people that like the originals. I liked all three. I mean, I thought they were pretty good, and I think it'll be a mistake.
I liked the old Men in Blacks for sure, but it's one of those things again that it's like. That was good. Let's put it to bed. I don't think this is another. I don't know why we have to go back to the well on Men in Black. Like
it's a money grab for sure.
Well, it seems to me it's like this is getting super lame. Like at this point, we're grabbing movies from how long ago was that? 20 years ago? Not even, right?
Not even.
Something like that. We're grabbing a movie from not that long ago to like reboot that. Like this is what I'm talking about with the coming up with new material stuff. Like you're just. It's just more shit.
Dude, look at the 5-year lineup for Disney, man. It is all rehash. Except for the Marvel stuff, it is all rehash. The brilliant idea.
But that's not even new stuff. Marvel's been out for years. It's not like they came out of the blue and they thought up an idea.
No, you're right. They're taking comic books and turning them into movies.
But they're using, like I was saying earlier, they did their own spin on the story. Like they didn't keep true to the comics.
No, which
by no means.
I like.
But that's what I like. I don't mind. I like it too. And this is when they need to get. I don't know what they got to do, but they got to like insert some new material into the gene pool here because it's getting out of hand. Like the Men in Black thing, it's frustrating to me. It's more bullshit that you're just going to put out. You know what I mean? Why reboot of all things too? What's next? You're going to reboot Wild Wild West? You know what I'm saying?
Do you think people are just getting complacent?
It's pretty much. What are you going to do? Like people are still going to go see that.
Well, I think it's what you said, John, a couple episodes back. I think Hollywood's so afraid to invest a ton of money into a new project. Yeah. Not unless you have a director with weight like when they did with Avatar. Mm-hmm. Well, he had a lot of weight, Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron's a beast.
He's a beast. He has a lot of weight. Or you got Spielberg with Ready Player One. It's like it was a fresh idea. Granted, VR movies were probably going to pop up anyway, but he took an idea, great selling book, and he went with it. And it hasn't come out yet, but like you said, the reviews are good. We all want to see it. So, I mean, at least that's a good idea. But I think, not unless, like I said, you have a director or a producer with a lot of weight in Hollywood, most of these companies are probably just going to go with remakes because they're afraid to invest the money into something that might or might not work. And they know if a remake will at least gain them probably some money.
Yeah, but here's the problem. It's turning into the music business.
Yeah.
It's exactly... the music business went down a different path, but they're ending up in the same place.
Yeah.
And it's not a good spot to be in. I mean, you're going to get like your good. I think it's going to come to a point where you're going to get your good movies, but a majority of them are just going to be garbage.
I want to be surprised. I want to be shocked.
Yes.
I want to have something come out and be like,
Exactly.
holy cow.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like a good example would be horror films. Now you remember horror
Get Out.
Yeah. You remember horror films, right? Like back in the day, like everybody would like go see most of them, right? And then like as the years went on, like one would pop out. I brought up Blair Witch before, or like Saw or something like that would be like, or Scream, that would be like, wow. And then it got flooded with a bunch of crap.
I think it's been flooded right now. I mean, there are some good ones like Get Out. I'm not a huge horror in that kind of genre, but
Scares you.
I hate clowns, man. I just never got into it. I don't get spooked that fast in movies, but they just so much out there. Every time you turn around, there's more horror flicks out in the movie theaters than anything else.
Do you think there's more good horror flicks?
No.
Yeah, you can easily say it without even thinking that there is not.
Yeah.
I mean, those are just the cold hard facts.
I mean, I enjoyed Get Out. I thought it was really good.
Purge was good.
yeah, Purge was.
Oh, I didn't get into any of the Purges.
I watched the last one
concept.
but I didn't like the whole concept. But the last one they made with the president,
election day
I
thing.
thought that was kind of. I thought that was a good like.
Well, they always milked.
Tied in.
They milked the shit out of that stuff too.
Oh.
Like, so say they come out the Saw. Now we're on Saw 20, and then like Final Destination. Like, how many times can you do that? Like, how many times can a person die? And
there is something you mentioned. Final Destination. There was something very captivating about watching. It's like watching those old school. I forget what they're called, but they're these puzzles where like a marble rolls down a chute and it hits on a pan and it flips over something else. Like that to me was very like captivating. Like, oh shit, here it comes. All right.
yeah, but like when you're on Final Destination 8, you're done with.
You
it.
know what movie was good? We're on zombie. I guess Z-Land, Z Nation.
Z Nation. I didn't see it.
Not Z Nation. That was a show with Brad Pitt. What was
World
it?
War Z.
World War Z. I like that.
Yeah, that was good.
It was a cool little twist on why the zombies, if you didn't watch it, spoilers, why they didn't touch certain people. I like that little twist because they were sick.
Yeah, that was clever.
I was a little clever. I was like,
that was good.
He was like, give me everything. Give me the bubonic plague and people to see
he's
what
like,
happens.
I'm done. Put it in me. And I thought it was clever. Like stuff like that. I mean, I don't even mind them taking like zombies or old ideas and putting a new twist on it. I'm fine with that. Just give me something new.
Speaking of which, Scott Snyder, he tweeted out, he's a writer. He was the writer I mentioned for Batman. Now he's in Justice League.
Yeah.
And he's a DC writer, really talented guy. He tweeted out just the question to the Twitterverse, favorite horror movie. And or his favorite horror movie character. It was like top 5 or whatever. And I forgot, but it makes total sense. And people have said this before. It's not original. But someone said Alien. And I was like, holy shit, that is a horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's a haunted house in space.
Hell yeah, dude.
With a weird friggin' creature coming at you. That freaked me out.
So moving on. FX is planning a Deadpool animated series.
Sick. Dude, I'm in.
Well, FX can pull it off.
Yeah.
If there's one on television, not like a streaming network, I think FX could do it.
See, this seems like a clever idea to me, right? Animation always kind of trips, unless it's Adult Swim, it's kind of like you go into, and it's superhero, you're going to something that's on the tame side because the expectation that the kids are going to be watching it.
Oh, well, Family Guy and all that now, there's adult cartoons.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like if you put 2 and 2 together, you put superhero, animation, you're like probably going to be for kids. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if I haven't looked into it with any detail.
Deadpool, it cannot be like a kid.
I hope they go to town.
Well, that's what
they're
I'm saying.
going to.
They're gonna Sons of Anarchy that up.
Yeah.
Speaking of that show is crazy good.
It is good.
But there's other news. I don't know if
Go for it.
Captain Marvel and the Wasp aren't going to be in this Avengers, but supposedly next year's they both pop up. I read Screen Rant today. They were talking about obviously Captain Marvel has her own movie coming out in the fall, so they're probably waiting to bring her. I don't even know what her powers are. She's like kind of like a Superman.
She's kind of like super strength. She can fly. And I was never like
Captain Marvel.
I just know I was never hardcore
Yes.
into Captain Marvel. But this might be another one of those things where
Yeah, they could have put their twist on it. And it's good.
yeah, where it's an obscure character with not a big fan base, but then they make it amazing.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, it almost makes me wonder about where the Lost Infinity Stone is, because they were talking about time travel before, and hers is set in 1990 in the early 1990s.
Yes.
Right. And why wouldn't she be in this Infinity War? Maybe it has something to do at the end of this Infinity War where they have to go back in time to breathe.
Kind of prequeling the stone.
Maybe. I don't know.
Nick's
So-
thinking outside the box.
Well, that's what they should be doing.
Did you see? So we talked about the trailer at length, but I saw online someone said, "Do you think Cap in that moment where he catches Thanos's the Infinity Gauntlet as he stops the blow? Do you think he's got like a Infinity Stone in his pocket or something like that? That it enables him to be able to because."
That's a good point.
Because
how
he
many guys-
punches the shit out of the Iron Man and takes him down one shot.
And
then
same with the Hulk too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was an interesting take on it. As far
But
as
I have noticed with Cap though, every movie he seems to be getting stronger and. No, I don't know if it's part of like in the comics. I didn't read any of them about how his the formula created in his body, but it just seems to be getting stronger and better. Maybe that's just better movies, but like in the first one, he was like he was good. He took over that whole plant, and that's when Red Skull said we already lost because he's here.
Yeah.
And then in the second movie, he's like kicking ass. You know, he's doing things I didn't even. He jumped out of a 20-story building
Something
and
like
landed.
that.
Yeah, and nothing happened to him. He jumped out of a plane.
Yeah.
Without a parachute, and you're like, what?
I like that he's a little stronger than we remembered him.
Right. Because
Yeah.
we always thought he was like one of the weakest Avengers.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that was because he also in the comics he had like that Boy Scout effect, which he's losing throughout the films as
Which
well.
I like.
I like that too. He's he's
Has a
grungy.
little edge.
He's grungy and he's mad. You know.
Yeah.
He still has that like moral code, I guess you would say, what's right and wrong, and he
Well,
always
and
sticks by.
Well,
that.
that got skewed. Like if you remember, and I mean, he didn't know what was right or wrong in that one. Was that Civil War?
Civil War. No,
Well,
he's
I-
still stuck.
Well,
to
he
it,
stuck
though.
to it, but he was kind of jaded at one point in that film, which was different for him.
Well, if you remember in Winter Soldier, he was like, I'm reporting for duty type of thing, and he was like, wait a minute, I'm code in country, right?
Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
And he was like, now my faith has been shook a little bit
Yeah.
because I was always a good soldier.
Yeah,
it's not cut and dry.
Now,
Yeah. And no, then at the end of Civil War, he's not Civil War, Winter Soldier. He's laughing, and Scarlett Johansson's character goes, "Why are you laughing?" He goes, "Well, at least now I know how I'm fighting."
yeah,
You know.
good old Cap. So, just quick, one more thing. That we saw the new extended version of Thor with the Guardians.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I sent that
awesome.
to you guys. Yeah,
that was so cool.
She's
That's
like
hilarious.
rubbing his arms.
Well, I like how the whole crew is like infatuated with him. They're like,
Hey,
ooh.
what about so? I guess Hemsworth has now got to call it out on the carpet. He can be #Me Too,
What do you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
What do you
I mean,
mean?
they exploit him all the time. He's never on screen without his shirt off.
Oh yeah,
You know,
totally.
I mean, I'm kidding, of course. 'Cause
No, every movie he's in, he has his shirt off.
well, he was in an interview and he says, "Damn right, I'm going to take my shirt off. I've been working my ass off to get this big."
Yeah.
So, one other thing we did, we were talking about we did a little fact check segment last week, and we're doing better. We're doing better. We don't have that much to really fact check this week.
Again, we don't have a go-to guy.
No.
We need the lackey, man.
Yeah, maybe I'll employ one of my kids. They'll report me to Child Social Services. I had a big faux pas. I thought that Ra's al Ghul was. Oh, and I looked up the pronunciation.
Oh, yeah, good. I love
Ra's al Ghul, not Raja?
So here's the thing. If you go with the Hebrew dialect, if it's a derivative of something in Hebrew, then it's pronounced Reish, right? But if you go with the Arabic, which is what the original intended name was it was a derivative from, then it's Raz. So, but it flip flops all over.
It's
the
whatever
place.
you want it to be, really.
Yeah, it's either Raz or Reish. I'm going to stick with Raz because I think that's more badass.
That sounds cooler.
But Alexander Siddig played Ra's al Ghul in Gotham.
Yeah, played a good part. He came back in a recent episode, actually, too.
Yeah. But I thought he was the same guy that was in Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, he's not.
He was not the same, and I thought he was the scientist, Gaius Baltar. He wasn't.
Oh God, that's right.
He was. I thought he was because the actors have similar appearances, but he was the doctor in Deep Space Nine.
Yes, he was.
He was in Game of, he's in Game of Thrones
Deep
too.
Space
Yeah,
Nine.
yeah. He got killed. In Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He was in the wheelchair or whatever. The Dawn, the Prince of Dawn, or something like that.
So yeah, so he was the doctor. I totally screwed that up. And so that's. I mean, there was other couple things. I mean, you were spot on as far as like the body fat for Bruce Lee. It was probably around. It was actually probably a little under 3%.
Under? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And then Mike Tyson's was around 9.5%. So, but speaking of Star Trek, one more thing it's in the news is, and I don't know if we touched on this. Quentin Tarantino's they're talking to him to do the next Star Trek movie.
We did talk about that.
We did?
A couple
Okay.
episodes.
That's awesome.
back.
That's different. I like it.
I like it too. I want
Yeah.
to see what he can do because I think Star Trek needs a shake up.
Yeah.
Not a huge because I think the reboot's fine. I think the last movie.
Well, the reboot, they fell. The first two were good, and then they fell off when they went to the Fast and Furious BS.
Yeah.
They got to stick to the one. I don't say this often, but I think they got to stick to the Star Trek formula. You can go outside the box in the sense of making the characters more younger, making it more, I guess you would say, hip to the younger crowd. I'm fine with that, but don't go too outside the box.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they tried to do the Fast and Furious route.
Yeah, well,
It's like, come on,
It
you
wasn't-
gotta put a motorcycle in.
yeah, no, that's what I mean though. That like it wasn't even that they went outside the box. They just went to Fast and Furious. They're like, oh yeah, it's space, but we'll throw a momotorcycle. We'll have them run around this mountain like 8 times and do like
How did
all these
this
crazy jumps.
1973 Charger get into that?
Yeah. Cool. Are they dragging a safe behind that motorcycle? You know what I mean? That's lame, man. Lame.
Yeah.
Well, that's why
Pretty lame.
JJ's a better director.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, dude.
JJ.
Yeah, he kicks ass. He kicked ass on the first two, like hands down.
I mean, they really should. I really thought they were going to focus on with the third one, Klingons.
Yeah.
Because they touched in it with Khan. And if anybody knows Star Trek, Klingons were like the Starfleet's nemesis for years, especially in the Kirk era, not the Next Generation. That's who they were fighting against the most. And I thought that's where they were going to leap into in the third one. And I thought that would have been a great platform. Now, I don't like how the new Klingons look. I think it kind of looks corny.
In the new series?
Yeah, I think it looks kind of corny. I think they should have stuck to the Next Generation look because I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, perfect.
yeah, it was like the. I really do like how they rebooted that. Are we going to get into Star Trek?
Yeah, so
right.
let's just get right into it then. I mean, the show this week, we're going to talk about Star Trek. It took 10 shows to do it, and we were planning on having a special guest, but I think we're just schedules and timing and desires, all that stuff is kind of been getting us to hold off as much as we can, but we're done chomping at the bit. Let's just get into it and talk Star Trek. Star Trek it's been near and dear. We said it in the first show. We love all things Star Wars and Star Trek and comics and sci-fi and everything. And Star Trek started in 1966, only went on for 3 seasons, 80 episodes. It didn't even start. The first pilot didn't even have it. They retained one member of the original cast.
And who was that?
That was Spock.
Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy, that's right. So, and then it was this phenom where people just fell in love with the concept. Gene Roddenberry put this thing together, and it's been, like I said, near and dear to our hearts for this some odd 40 plus 50 years. So, what was your first taste of Star Trek? And I know what mine was. It was definitely the series. But I never really. I knew there was a little bit of. You had to suspend some disbelief because it was kind of hokey, right? As far as
the original,
the original,
yeah.
Concept, loved it. Space, fantastic.
It was 20 years before.
Well, what
its time.
they did the same thing as the old Batman, the old Adam West Batman.
It ran
along. Well, it ran along the same lines with like the.
Yeah, but Batman wanted to be campy.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It was like a hokey kind of deal. You know what I mean?
But I think technology wouldn't allow them to do what they needed to do for what Gene Roddenberry's vision was.
But dude, if you look at the original pilot and then look at just the next episode, holy shit, did they dump a bunch of money into it for the time?
Yeah, for the time.
Oh yeah,
Night and day. Like you could practically see the strings in the opening sequence of the first one.
You know what I love too?
It was bad.
You know what I love too is like they got away with stuff that they wouldn't get away with today, like how like Captain Kirk's like an intergalactic cocksmith. You know what I mean? The dude is, like the way he's like he's like a womanizer.
I always think of Eddie Murphy. You ever watch The Delirious when he talks about Captain Kirk? I probably won't do this justice, and I never will. He's like the bitch is green or something wrong with the pussy.
Well, dude, I was working at I was like 19, 20, just out of college, and I was working at delivering pizzas. And the guys that were running the pizza place were all black, and it was after hours. We had gotten a couple of beers and everything, and we just cleaned up. And they were like, "John, you ever been with a black girl?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." He goes, "Would you?" I was like, "Sure, hot's hot." He goes, "You like Captain Kirk, John. It don't matter what color it is, does it?" I was like, "No, doesn't matter to me. Hot is hot."
Got that right.
Hey, here, Guardians of the Galaxy. Who wouldn't?
Oh, Gamora?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and my that was my first taste, but the what really got me into it was the movie. I remember going to the movie.
Oh, yeah.
The first one?
The first one.
Really? I didn't like that one.
Well, it was dude, lines, like it was on fire. People were waiting. I think it was I don't even know when the first movie was.
79?
I think it was like 79. I know I was a tyke, like I was a little kid.
Probably going to be a fact check right there next week.
Yeah. Well, the movies, I actually got some notes here.
Mine was
1979. Good call, man.
Mine was The Wrath of Khan.
Well, I'm not saying that the first one was my favorite by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but that's my first experience. Why? Because my mom was like, I think I said this in previous episodes, not to cut you off. Mine was, my mom was, and that was her favorite. So she already saw the motion picture. So I didn't see the motion picture. I saw Wrath of Khan first.
Yeah.
And it's still my all-time favorite. Mm-hmm. And I went back and saw the motion picture. It was okay. I get it. They dumped a ton of money into it. You could tell by the special effects, but I just think the storyline was without.
I kind of liked the concept on the first one. It was like they had a satellite, a satellite that was sent out in space, right, to gather information, and then it becomes V'ger. Yeah, that was a little cheesy, but it became self-aware, right, and became this entity. So I like that initial concept.
Well, it was more serious too than the show.
Yeah,
and they took it like more serious in the show because like you said, the show is hokey, but then the movies, they were like serious missions. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, and then Shatner, I mean, they I don't know how much money they dumped into the toupee he was wearing. That thing was magnificent.
Yeah, apparently he was like a real bastard on set.
Yeah,
I heard he was a dick.
Dickish behavior is legendary.
But the motion picture, you're right. What I meant, I guess maybe I should explain myself a little better about the storyline. Storyline in a whole was good, but I don't like how they involve the characters.
Yeah.
That's where I'm more like, I was going. The second and third, you felt like more of a unity with the characters. Mm-hmm. And after 20 years, supposedly being in space together, you think they would be like, we're good friends. And they made it feel like how it was real in real life, where they actually all hated Kirk.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that, right? That's why Galaxy Quest is so good.
Yes.
So, how about you, Jamie? What was your first sort of foray?
It was the old motion pictures. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember which was the first one I saw, but I definitely remember like Wrath of Khan, like yesterday. But I seen all of them. I used to watch the reruns of all the old Kirk shows.
Yeah,
and I did enjoy those because I did watch the reruns of those. But my vivid recall would be watching Next Generation with my parents and seeing like every episode of that, and I was like hooked on that.
Yeah, Next Generation. I mean, I think so. Next Generation was our. Got that phone ringing, man. Come on, amateur
John, I
hour,
thought John
dude.
was the only one that makes that
Yeah,
mistake.
man, I thought I shut that off. I usually never leave it on.
That's fine. But the Next Generation was our 1966 Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I wasn't around in 66 as much as you guys want to bust my balls and say I was. But
Never.
I wasn't around. None of us was really. I mean, I still enjoyed watching the episodes. It was always fun to check. Like we talked about this before. The music, you appreciate it not because when you're a little older, not because you're like totally immersed in this experience. You appreciate it for all its cheesy glory, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the fight scenes and the dramatic music. I mean, they did they did. Remember that the cable guy?
Yeah, cable guy.
Yeah, cable guy. When they go to medieval times.
Yeah.
and
Welcome to the medieval times.
when Jim Carrey goes up on Matthew Broderick and he goes, that's straight out of the fight scenes in the original Star Trek.
Oh yeah, when they were was it a
Kirk,
Vulcan?
It was Kirk and Spock.
Yeah, a Vulcan. They
Yeah,
were doing
yeah.
so bad.
Yeah.
Well, about Next Generation is the one thing you got to say about. I almost think that not the first season, but when you get in the third, fourth, and fifth, and the final, they really became character driven. They really dove into all the characters, just not the captain, which was. I think was unique way ahead of its time to what we watch nowadays. They really dive into, if you watch certain shows, they'll have a really character driven show.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Absolutely.
Like they even had episodes about Worf and his family, but the whole episode wasn't about that. He would go looking for his father, thinking his father was still alive.
Yeah,
and that was awesome. And Deanna Troi and all that.
No, like how they would. You're right. And then they wouldn't do the whole story at once. They would maybe wait a season and then jump back into it,
Right,
which
exactly.
was great. I loved how they did that. And then they made it like very dynamic. Like you could they had the characters, but we could just do an episode on this show of like all the hologram episodes that they did.
Yeah.
Like that was like another, you know what I mean? Like the show
Moriarty.
the show is so dynamic in that aspect. Like it would just go like in different, it wouldn't just stay to one thing. It would go to the Borg. Like we could go another episode on that.
Tasha Yar when she came back, and then they sent her to Enterprise C. Then you think, oh well, she probably died in the past again. But then years later, you find out she has a daughter that's part of the Romulan Empire.
Yes.
That was really a real clever twist that you never saw coming.
Do you know that what you know now, what is known now as the Next Generation, is not what the original pitch was?
I know. I read a brief thing
Yeah.
of it. You said there was like I think there was supposed to be a
It wasn't
Vulcan
even
captain.
called. Yeah, it wasn't even called the Enterprise. It was called the Odyssey. Yeah, I know it doesn't sit well, does it? It was called the Odyssey. They had a Vulcan captain who actually gets killed, and then the second in command or lieutenant, executive, I don't know, whoever this number one is, he becomes captain. But the captain is still around.
Number one, I love that.
Yeah, the captain's still around as a hologram. So it's a bit like
That's weird.
The medical officer
And Voyager,
right? And they're at war with the Klingons. So I mean, it's interesting how they pitched it too, because
they pitched to Gene Roddenberry, right?
yeah,
And he X'd it?
Well, he was reluctant to get involved in the whole thing.
And he still had to have the okay.
Yeah.
He still had the rights. Warner Brothers didn't have the total. Paramount, I mean, didn't have the total okay at that point.
Yeah.
I did.
And then he got it, and then of course it became what we know and love.
He probably tweaked it. That's why he probably got involved in it and said, no, we're not going to do this.
Yeah, that's what we need today is some checks and balances on the movies there now. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, it was his original concept. He Gene Roddenberry, you said he pulled it out of. And I mean, they say there's nothing new out there, but that's okay. It's like if you go and say, like, every story's been told already, and yeah, because human beings have been telling stories for thousands of years, right? So yeah, if nothing's new, that's fine. But if you can make it original and it's you can take a concept like the Magnificent Seven was from Seven Samurais from Japan, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then they turned it into a Western, right? not a far leap to go from samurais to the Western to gunfighting cowboys. But do that. Like say, all right, well, I'm gonna do something that's like, Star Wars. Only I wanted to go about, I don't know, interdimensional travel, and then you get Quantum Leap.
Yeah,
right. I don't know, but
Quantum Leap is badass.
Yeah,
It's great, man.
Scott Bakula, and who came back to
Yeah,
Star Trek. See, I did that. Whoa.
Yeah, that was a good segue.
What?
Sick ass
7 ways
segue,
of Kevin Bacon or whatever.
Yeah,
I know where you're going, Jamie.
I wasn't a fan of that Star Trek. I'll be honest with you. I liked them in Quantum Leap. I did not like that one. Listen, I like Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager are probably my favorites. Mm-hmm. But then that last show, I watched like a couple episodes of it, and I couldn't get into it, man.
I see why you didn't get into it. I like where that's where I like where they went with it. They kind of after First Contact went after that. The movie Next Generation, they kind of did it after that. They actually linked it to that later on.
Well, that I like that aspect of it, though.
Yeah.
I do like that. I just don't like how they did it. I want them to do a Star Trek after First Contact, but I'd like them to do it in a different way. I don't know what that way is, but something better than that.
Discovery wasn't bad.
I want to watch it. I just don't know if I want to pay to watch it.
Well, you can watch the whole thing in a month. You pay like I did. You pay your $11, binge the whole thing, and you're out $11.
Yeah, whatever.
Is it worth $11?
I would say it's worth $11.
Hell yeah.
But don't forget about it. Because if you pay $22, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to watch it. Get it done fast.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah, it was definitely... So if you were to go favorite movie...
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
Include them all.
Not for me.
Con. Yeah.
The first Con. I love the second Con. JJ did a fantastic job, and I figured out the twist before it happened.
Yeah.
But it still shocked me, even though I figured it out, that it was Con.
Yeah, totally. So Jamie, I'll help you out a little bit. As far as the original films, right? From the original series, you got the motion picture. We mentioned that. Wrath of Khan is 2. Search for Spock is 3. Voyage Home, Final Frontier, and The Undiscovered Country is the last from the original series.
Which that one was really good.
Yeah, and that was in 91. And then for Next Generation, they did... I didn't know they did 4.
Generations.
Contact. First Contact.
Damn it, I don't know the other one.
Insurrection.
I didn't like that one.
And then there was the one Nemesis.
Yeah, Nemesis was okay because it was a younger Picard. It was all right.
That was Tom Hardy, right?
Yeah. He was real little then, too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Jack like he is now.
He wasn't Bane.
No, it wasn't Bane at all.
He didn't have that cool voice.
Yeah, that voice. Anyway, we could go down that path. But then the reboot films, so this is where JJ takes over the mantle for... You got Star Trek. They just called it Star Trek, which I was
fine with that.
Yeah, but I forgot.
Yeah.
And then they go Into Darkness. That's the Con one. And then the last one, which is Beyond. That was the one that was the director from...
Yeah, it was Fast and Furious 10.
And to go back to what you always say about rewatch factor, Into Darkness has a great rewatch factor for me.
Yeah.
The other one's okay, Star Trek, but I can always rewatch Into Darkness. I don't know why. It's a great movie. It's on all the time, and I'm like, all right, I'll just turn it on, and I can rewatch it. I actually enjoy it. I think what's Cumberbatch? I can never say his name. Fantastic Con.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, he rolls a single tear when he's talking about his and you're like, damn.
Yeah, it's good.
Holy cow.
The thing I like about the reboots too is I know my wife is not a fan of Star Trek.
No.
Like, not by a far stretch of the imagination.
My wife can tolerate Star Wars, but Star Trek...
By no stretch of the imagination. But she got sucked into the reboots.
Yeah.
And now, like,
Chris Pine's Jamie, that's why.
Well, she watches them with me, like, even, like, if we'll watch it again, and she gets into it.
So you don't have to watch it.
I don't have to like beg her and I'm like, oh yeah, let's.
But you don't have to trade up with like a 50 Shades.
No, she is all about it. She thinks it's good. And then
awesome.
I was like trying to talk her into like the Next Generation movie, and she's like not having it, but that's okay. You know what I mean? I'll take what I can get.
She's watching something with you.
Yeah, exactly.
there you go.
So I did what we do, right? I went through my brain and I was thinking top 5 for movies, and then Wrath of Khan was right there.
Can't beat that.
And then Into Darkness.
Yeah.
So it's but Khan themed, right? And then First Contact.
I agree with that.
Because it's TNG with the Borg, right? And then Star Trek, the J.J. Abrams reboot.
See, I would have to go Undiscovered Country.
Yeah, that
See,
one.
I gotta watch that
No,
again.
you're
So good.
I remember. Speaking of Undiscovered Country, I remember when that like came out and stuff. You remember that?
Was that Spock's brother with the beard?
It was like a big,
No, that was 5. Undiscovered Country was with the Klingons, and they killed the Klingons.
Yeah, that was
so good.
It was really good.
He's the one guy with the Klingon with the patch. He quotes Shakespeare.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
when you
You
hear
know what?
Shakespeare in Klingon, it's even better. And Kirk and Bones go to prison. And
Yes.
then, remember
Yep.
when Kirk gets in a fight with that one alien, he hits him in the knees, and the shapeshifter goes, "Not everybody's genitals is
Yes,
what
yeah.
No, what oh man, I might have to add that as number 5.
That's good.
That is good, and that you bring up a great point though, Nick. You reminded me of there's a duality to their personas because they have to be military.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have a separate relationship. Like, I love it when Bones and Kirk are drinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right?
and they're
Romulan ale, right?
And they're making fun of Spock. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't get it.
Red-blooded bastard.
See, that's what they missed from the motion picture. That's why when you watch the motion picture to the other ones, you miss the camaraderie between, especially the 3 of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just, the motion picture was so cold.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, J.J. Abrams pulled off a hell of a hat trick when they did his version of the end of Wrath of Khan, right?
Oh, he flipped it.
Yeah,
It was real cleverly done.
and there goes that Chris Pine again, just tugging at my heartstrings.
Yeah,
That was good, man.
it was.
Hell, that's what this is the kind of reboots we want to see. Something with some like talent, some good writing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you can suck my wife in the Star Trek, you did something.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, though. Like that's the
And
type
he paid
of
homage to fans like us.
Exactly.
It wasn't just like, all right, I'm going to reboot it and go my own damn direction.
Mm-hmm.
He did it well, and he paid homage in the right little aspects. If you're a Star Trek fan, you know what they're talking about. If you're not, you're just like, this is a good movie.
yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But I love the twists, right? Like, I'm going back through my mind. It's like, you know, Kirk and Khan fight in the original TV episode. We talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
But then it's Spock, and he's raging. He is not. There's no logic there. He wants to beat this dude down because he thinks he killed his best friend, right? And the fight scene when him and Khan are on that floating car and everything. And he actually takes a piece of the transport and beats him up with it. Just again, he does this nod or this homage to the original source material.
Yeah, and but he made it like more believable because Spock can fight Khan, whereas Kirk really cannot.
No.
You know what I mean? That's
I mean-
that's a lose fight for Kirk. He may be able to get some more pussy than Khan, but he ain't beating him up. That's a fact.
Yeah, Khan's supposed to be some kind of super genius, superhuman that was created in the past, if nobody knows that. And there's no way an average human could I know we're speaking all crazy sci-fi talk here, but if you really wanted to get a geek talk in reality, that would never happen. It's like us trying to compete with Thor. It's not going to happen, dude.
So I think we already answered this, but we're Star Trek over Star Wars, or Star Wars over Star Trek, right?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah,
Maybe is the jury
no,
out?
I'm still there. I'm still there because Star Wars, like the originals, even to this day, I remember watching them like every Christmas, and I get excited, stuff like that. I'm still there, but Star Trek is definitely near and dear to my heart, especially Next Generation.
Yeah.
So series, if you were to rate the series, I think we're all on the same page with Next Gen being our favorite of the properties.
Yep.
Yeah, Next Gen favorite as a series, but as movie goes, I would say not Next Gen.
Yeah.
I would say regular Kirk
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Wrath of Khan,
What's your second series? Because I know what mine is.
Deep Space Nine.
I'm going to say Voyager. And then Deep
I
Space
knew you
Nine.
were going to say Voyager.
Voyager was awesome.
I go
dude.
Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine was good.
Yeah.
And that's another aspect of that show, man. How they tied all those shows together was really well thought out. Like
It was really well done.
they put like, with putting Worf in there and then taking him out and then putting him back in. And then just the way they tie that together. I just can't speak enough to how they did that. It was
Again, they were before their time with a lot of stuff. There's so many offshoot shows now that they all tie stuff together that's done really well. Like Marvel ties a lot of movies together.
Yeah.
They were before their time with all this stuff. I mean, Marvel's doing that now in tying shows together with the Defenders and all that. They're all linked, and it's really well done. And when you have something really well done, it makes it more enjoyable to watch the next one. Even though I didn't think Voyager was one of my favorites, did I enjoy it? Hell yeah! It was Star Trek. I loved it.
Yeah, I was just looking at my notes, man, and it looks like Generations and Deep Space Nine, they overlapped for a year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they did.
Because do you remember Picard when he was Locutus?
Yeah.
Killed.
that's
what's his face's wife.
Yep.
Oh, that scene was so badass.
What's his name?
man.
What's the captain's name?
Cisco, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Cisco. He wasn't actually a captain.
Yeah,
when
but
he first
he
got it. He
ran
was only a commander.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
And he killed his wife, and he held a grudge to Picard.
Yeah.
and that's how it all started.
That's right. I do remember that.
Jesus.
Now. That was the first time you saw like hardcore multiple ships. At least that I can remember.
There
Multiple
was
ships.
like 1,000 of them.
Yeah,
there were a lot.
in a
That's
battle.
awesome.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
And they were getting their asses kicked.
Yeah.
It was, man.
there was no oscillating shields. That helped them then.
Well, here's a question. I know we're going to touch on this, but we touch on it. Who's your favorite captain?
Good question, Kirk.
I'm going to say, oh, man, that's hard. I like Picard only because it wasn't like all about him.
I like
Yeah.
Picard too. Kirk.
I like Kirk because he's funny and he was like a cocksmith, like I said. Like he just
And he had the balls, and he'll just jump into a seat.
Yeah, he was a hot dogger, dude.
Yeah, man, I love all that.
He gave zero shits.
I loved all that, man. I love the fact that he was, and it's really Shatner, right? Whether he's a shitty person outside of his persona.
I heard he was shitty back then. I heard some people say he's a better person now.
Well, he's like 85 years old.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Whatever. He's a character. You know what I mean?
But it's like, you ever hear the clips from when he does Lucy in the Sky with Diamond on Stern?
No,
Yeah.
no, I've never heard it.
Nah, I like the whole like him and George Takei and yeah, it's
Oh
hilarious.
my.
Yeah.
George Takei, anyway.
Sulu.
Yeah, they actually made Sulu really cool with John Cho, I think his name
Yeah,
is.
he was awesome.
Yeah.
What?
In the
new
J.J. Abrams.
in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek.
Oh, that was his name. I didn't know.
Yeah.
He was
he's
from
White
Castle.
Harold, yeah.
Yeah.
From Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked him, man. Actually, he was a pretty badass with the sword and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in the original series, I forget what episode it is, but Sulu does. This is why it's so lame. But he pulls out like a rapier, like a dueling sword, like a Three Musketeers sword.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's kind of
It's
lame.
kind of gay.
Well, George Takei is gay.
I wasn't going to go that gay, but sure, if you want to go there.
And then they made Sulu. He's got a boyfriend or a husband in the last.
George Takei said he was like he didn't like how they did that.
He didn't think it was necessary.
Yeah,
What did they do?
He thought that they.
Sulu's openly gay in the latest film. He's like
Which one?
The last
The
one.
last one they showed his partner. In
Yeah, they met at the station, and he has a daughter, and
I must have missed that.
yeah,
yeah, which I don't. It doesn't bother me, but
Beyond, you mean?
Yeah.
That's probably why I missed
felt.
it.
Yeah, well, I thought it was interesting though how George was talking about that. He said like, I mean, didn't really need to do that. It's like it was kind of like a afterthought that you like seemed like you just plugged in there.
yeah, and it's like he said something about does it even service the story or
Yeah,
does it do anything for the
you're right.
character,
Yep.
right. There's just and poor decision. I think.
The only thing I wish is they like his partner name was Brad, like his partner in real life. That would have been awesome. That would have been hilarious.
I will say this about Beyond. The one thing I did like, and I think you agree with me, John, is how the Yorktown they presented. That was really well done. Totally cool.
Yeah.
Visuals were fantastic. I just thought it was awesome to see that.
Because it lends to your imagination. And why you fall in love with this stuff is because you want to be taken someplace. And if it's believable when you arrive, which that seemed believable, then you're like, I would like to live here. You know?
He's awesome, man.
And that was cool.
Totally cool. Yeah, right.
All right. So let's get to the most important question. All right. Who do you think was the hottest female character in the Star Wars universe?
Ooh, there's a lot in there.
Yeah. A lot of talent.
I don't know, Deanna Troi, man. I don't know why.
But you couldn't get anything by her if you were in a
I
relationship
know.
with her.
Yeah, like say you wanted to play pretend that night if she was something else while you're plowing. It ain't going down, dude.
Are we talking about cast members? Or are we talking about guest stars? Or are we talking about everything?
Let's keep the guest stars out of it. Let's just go cast members because there's a ton of guest stars.
Well, I know you didn't like this, but the Vulcan in Discovery, if you actually saw real pictures of her.
Oh, Jolene Blaylock.
Ooh. She's
pretty.
She was. I know you're probably the Deep Space Nine.
Jerry Ryan? No, not Jerry Ryan. Terry Farrell.
Yeah, she was hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was smoking.
I'm a 7 and 9 guy.
Seven. I knew you were so.
Yeah,
both
totally.
blondes.
I'm gonna try out that green chick, man.
If it's green, something wrong.
Hey, whatever, man. Don't knock it till you try it.
Or you could also take what's her face, Uhura in the new movie.
Oh yeah, yep, for
Yeah.
sure.
She's hot.
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
I just saw this little segue. I just saw a comic book movie. I think critically acclaimed. I Killed Giants. With Zoe Saldana plays this psychiatrist in there.
Dude, she's ridiculous.
Yeah, she's smoking hot.
But it was okay. It was kind of a deep movie. But anyway, I said like check it out if you want. It's not a must see for sure. And she's still hot in that movie. So favorite captain, I got Kirk. You guys are both on Picard.
I'm Picard.
I like Picard. And Janeway was a hell of a captain. I liked her.
Yeah, Janeway was cool. And I'm trying to think. So, what would Tarantino do with this next thing?
I don't know. That's why it's awesome.
'Cause
Like, think about it. You don't know what's going to happen. Like, he's going to.
go ahead.
He can make it sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Go ahead.
no, you're all right. But he can make like a sick twist to it. Mm-hmm. Like you could be like, what just happened there?
Does he have to bring Samuel L. Jackson in?
Yeah, I think he should. You know what I mean? Just as long as there's no stakes on the Enterprise. You know what I mean?
But that's what's exciting about this.
This Romulan ale is a tasty beverage.
But that's what's exciting about it is because he's a well-known director, but he has a different way of directing, and it's exciting because they'll add a little wrinkle to it. It's not just they're just not throwing a director that just makes Fast and Furious movies in there. This guy is actually well-known, well-respected, and he has his own vision, and it's exciting. Like how JJ went in with it, it was awesome.
Yeah,
I can't help but think about that Fast and Furious thing. I don't know why, but it's like, God, that was like such a gimmick. You know what I mean? And like I said, I like the Fast and Furious movies for what they're worth and all.
Yeah.
But why would you throw that into like a whole Star Trek thing? That makes no sense to me. That makes no sense.
Did you guys know that? I think that Star Trek Next Generation for their opening seasons for opening episode, I think of each season, they would bring somebody in from the old cast.
No, I didn't know that. I knew Bones was in the first one.
Bones, yeah.
Scotty was in one.
Scotty was in. James Doohan, DeForest Kelly.
He was in the Dyson Sphere one.
Yep. And then who else? Leonard Nimoy. They brought him in, didn't they?
They did. That was like a huge thing when they were on the Romulus, that episode.
Yeah. And then Shatner being Shatner. He's
Didn't
like,
wanna
I'm
do
not
it.
coming into a series. I'll come into a movie, not a series. Because that's when they brought him in.
And I think they missed the boat on that because I think you should have had Spock in that as also.
Yeah.
They really should have.
And Nimoy's been in the original, all the movies, Next Gen, and the
Yeah.
reboots.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
He's an icon, man.
Yeah, totally. He's Spock. I don't give a crap who the other guy was. He's Spock.
Yeah, but that guy that
He did a good job.
whoever played I don't know his name, who played Spock and he was in Heroes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, hell of a Spock and hell of a choice, man.
Dude,
really
that-
good.
No, I mean, he pulled
really
it
good
off.
casting
He,
on that.
he pulled it off, but he's still not Spock to me.
Yeah, but like that's hard to live up to. But I'm saying they picked a good Spock.
I'll
Who
tell
else-
you what. Everybody, sorry, Jamie. Go ahead.
No, that was just it. I just think he was like a hell of a Spock.
So everybody that they did pull into that cast, holy crap! Like,
Yeah.
They did a phenomenal job.
like
they had
the guy who's playing Bones. He was just in Thor Ragnarok.
Yep.
Amazing.
Did you ever see Chronicles of Riddick?
Yes.
That's a great movie. I don't like the other ones, but I love that one.
Yeah.
And he was in that one.
Yes,
he played
he
the
was.
bad guy, one of the bad guys. And he's just really good at being. He's a good actor. I don't think he's ever going to own his own movie, like be the main actor. But every time you see him in movies, he holds his own.
Yeah.
he plays really well. Plays really well off other actresses and actors. It's really good.
And they do that. And they do that thing where they build these relationships where they're like, we're battle tested and ready, and we're a sharp, tight military group, but and not all the traditions, but then they have this layer where they're personal with one another, and Bones and Kirk in the reboots, they have this relationship that you're like, you love to see the
special
exchange.
bond.
Yeah. And I like the fact that they put Uhura and Spock
because it was originally supposed to be Scotty and Uhura, right?
There
was always, they never did it, but there was always tension between the two. If you watched the movie 5, Star Trek 5, when they met Spock's brother and he like relieves everybody's emotions or problems, supposedly like she was flirting with Scotty and all that, so it was always like a tension between the two, and then they went the other direction.
Yeah. And you know what I was like, when they did the reboot, and this was the other thing where I think J.J. Abrams handled it fantastically. It's like if you go back to the original series and you look at the way they had the colored shirts, right, as part of their uniform. Yeah, for 1966 with go-go boots and mod and all that stuff, okay, I could see where that's okay. Everything was velour too, which is really weird. And then but you're like, how are they going to do that translation? And you're like, they did it. I think
pulled it off
big time. And the fact that it's really they're like nautical, right? It's almost like they're just taking on. They basically have the same type of military environment as you would see on a
Navy
battleship,
ship, yeah.
Navy ship. So all good stuff, man. Any favorite episodes jump out at you as far as like next gen?
You want to go first, or you want me?
No, go ahead. You go first.
Well, obviously, I like the last one. That is, All Things Come to an End. It's fantastic, and I've always liked I think it's called Prometheus. I'm not sure. It's an episode where the Kardashians. How do you say that?
Cardassians?
How do you say their names?
I'm going to say Cardassians.
Kardashians. Shut up, dude.
No, I'm not going to say Kardashians because I don't want to say.
I thought you were making fun of me.
No.
I know, but anyway, there's an episode where not the Kardashians, the Romulans. I'm sorry, where apparently the
Romulans, Vulcans.
no the good guys. Well, we're named. They're gonna brain fart.
The good guys, the Federation.
Federation. They're
Yeah.
gonna brain fart. Had to deal with the Romulans where they would never develop cloaking technology. Remember this episode where Kirk went to an old searching for an old starship, and Riker was one of the.
Yeah, he was the captain.
He wasn't the captain. He was a lieutenant.
Yeah,
Riker
that's
was a
right.
lieutenant, and an admiral came along who was the captain, and they were not trying to disclose any information, but it was just cool to see the Enterprise come out and decloak.
Yeah,
I was like, it was always one of my favorite.
That's badass.
Scenes. It was
I
pretty
remember
cool.
that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I don't. There's too much. I haven't watched all the Deep Space. I mean, not the Deep Space. The
Next
Generation
in a long
ones.
time.
In a long time. I mean, definitely the series they did with the Borg is amazing. The fact that you would have Picard be captured and converted into a Borg, to where your
picked that one.
but where your suspension is like, holy crap, can he come back?
Yeah. You think he's gone.
Yeah, and then he gets whispers of the hive mind, and even after the fact, and it's kind of like he's PTSD from the whole
There's
incident.
so many episodes you could pick from. I mean, you're talking about over 200 shows, is it?
Easily.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an episode that I loved. I loved the Tasha Yar one. I talked about how like she comes back and the episodes with Spock.
Yep.
I mean, I can't remember what it was, but she was in them too, where like they got one up on her. Spock stayed behind. I mean, you could go down the list. Just every episode with Q. Oh my God. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
That
the
guy
first episode.
Yeah. I always wanted them to do a movie with Q. I was like, why not?
Interesting character.
It was the first episode and the last episode
Yep.
because he made the judgment that you're always being monitored to see for growth. If you're not growing as a species, we will get rid of you guys.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
He's omnipotent, right?
Right. Counter
Yeah.
a far point and all good things come to an end type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I just like in the first episode when the ship split apart.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they like rarely went back to like the ship splitting apart, but you're like, shit, that's awesome. That is some kick ass stuff right there.
Whoever thought of that up was just...
That was brilliant.
That
Yeah.
was right.
Because I think they wanted they wanted to be away from the whole flying saucer as far as like the original ship was concerned. So that's why it looks the way with. Maybe I'm confusing that with the Millennium Falcon. Anyway, it's all starting to blur. But the 1966 Khan episode. I don't know if it was 66. It might have been 68 or 67 or 68 or 69. But I literally dig that episode because, again, it's just weird. It makes me kind of giggle inside. But it also plants the seeds for Wrath of Khan.
Yep.
And then, of course, the reboots, bringing Khan back in. So I like the dynamic, how that episode sort of led to other properties that were, or other stories that were just as compelling. But the next gen stuff, it's definitely the Borg.
Yeah, the board.
Yeah,
It
that
makes a lot of
series for
sense.
sure. Dude, tons of guest stars in like
Generation?
Next Gen and
Hell yeah.
all over the place. Like The Rock.
Was he really?
The Rock was in a
No.
Voyager episode.
You had to look that up.
Of course I did.
Oh my
I didn't
God.
know.
I did not.
Yeah,
I
of
don't
course I did.
remember that.
I got to check that out because I don't remember that at all.
So, dude, I went through it. There's a site called warpfactor.com, warpedfactor.com.
Man, they have t-shirts.
But they walk through like 70 guest appearances and like, of course, Tom Harding we mentioned, but that wasn't in the series.
I remember in the hologram episodes, they always used to bring a special character in, like whether it be like somebody from the past,
Joe
Fresno-
Piscopo.
Yeah, but I remember they always. I don't know why, but I love those
Who
hologram.
else was it? Ashley
episodes.
Judd? Was it one of
Yeah,
them?
Ashley Judd.
She was Wesley Crusher's Crusher or something like that when they were playing that video game.
Yeah, there's a
visual
ton,
VR
man.
game.
I was having such a blast looking through all these people that were in there.
Obviously, Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi
She was in a
Goldberg, yep.
ton. I loved her character.
Hottest. Should have mentioned Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh yeah,
Oh, totally, man. Right up my alley.
So Paul the Big Show White.
Who?
So he's a wrestler. The Big Show. He's like one of the big. I think he's bigger than Andre the Giant. But he was on Enterprise.
I'm thinking about it now. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Clint Howard, Ron Howard's brother. Of course, Idris Elba. He was in the last one, which was such a waste for Idris Elba because he's so goddamn talented, and they put him in like not such a good.
I'm trying to think who was in Next Generation though. Like who was in?
it's been a while since I like rewatched all those, but
Now I kind of want to. Actually.
I know. I don't know why, but I really did like those hologram episodes. I thought they were awesome.
Man, wouldn't it be cool if they could ever create something like that?
I
You
know.
just walk in and it creates a universe.
Well, think about how you could create your own meals. Just like, yeah, I'll take this.
So Stephen, I'm looking over the guest appearances.
Oh, you're gonna say Steven Seagal?
Stephen Hawking's.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, right. That Data was talking to Einstein and Stephen Hawking. And
Yes.
that's before I knew who Stephen Hawking was.
Yeah. And then who else? We got James Cromwell, Kurtwood Smith from from that 70s show.
Yep.
Who?
He played a
Red.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He played a Vulcan. I'm sorry, Klingon. And that
Did he
was
really?
Yeah. That was in a Deep Space Nine episode. Kim Cattrall, she was in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
Yeah.
Who else? We got Kirstie Alley. She was Saavik. That was in the second Star Trek movie.
She was
in Wrath of
before she was on Cheers, I think.
Yeah. And Kelsey Grammer, Captain Morgan. He was in Next Gen.
Captain Morgan.
Christian Slater.
Yeah, he was in Undiscovered Country for a brief moment.
Yep.
When he went in to wake up Sulu to ask him where the Federation's looking for.
He's always
Kirk.
sneaking in, that guy.
Yeah.
Just
Well, he's in
cameos,
bad. He was in. He did this thing, Mr. Robot. He was really good.
No, it was the first 2 seasons were fine. I kind of checked out after that.
His best movie still Gleam in the Cube.
Tom Morello, guitarist with Rage Against the Machine. He
What?
Was, yeah, he was in a Voyager episode.
No kidding.
Yep.
Jamie's gonna go back and start watching all them right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
And of course, Christopher Lloyd. He was in. He was Commander Kruge in The Search for Spock.
I do remember that.
Was he?
Killed
Oh,
Kirk
yes,
Spock's-
right.
He
Yep.
killed Kirk's
remember.
son.
David.
Yeah, Jason Alexander from Seinfeld.
Was he
Yeah.
a Ferengi?
You know, he played.
What was he in?
It appeared in a Voyager episode. Apparently, they had a lot of people from guests in Voyager, but it's weird because they didn't give him. You think they'd give him a little hair? You know?
Yo, the Ferengis were the worst aliens, don't you think?
They were-
Yeah, they were.
They were
slimy.
lame. They're like slimy, grimy little bastards. And they're
weasels.
weird.
Their pleasure notes were on their ears.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think who else was it. Terry Hatcher.
Yes,
I
Terry
remember,
Hatcher.
I remember that.
Yeah, so she was in
TNG. Who's the girl that played in X-Men? The original.
Famke Janssen. I
Yes.
was just on that.
That was awesome. She played some kind of she was
it was the perfect mate. In,
yes, and she wanted Picard.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Bryan Singer, of X-Men fame. Mm-hmm. He was in a brief uncredited cameo in Star Trek Nemesis. Oh, here it is. Dwayne Johnson as the champion. Back when he liked to be known as The Rock, you could smell that what Dwayne Johnson was cooking in the Voyager episode. And I saw this clip. I looked it up when I saw it. And he comes out. It might as well be space wrestling. He's up against 709, and they're going at it. And he comes out and he does the eyebrow thing.
Yeah,
his eyebrow. But yeah,
our
a lot
future
of people.
president right there.
Jeez.
And Sarah Silverman, she was in a Voyager.
Oh yeah,
episode.
she was. She was in when they went to Earth in the past or something like that. She was.
Yeah, appeared in a 2-part Star Trek Voyager episode, Future's End.
Yeah.
And Iggy Pop, he was in Deep Space Nine.
That's awesome.
Yeah, tons of people. Who was it?
How's
Oh,
that
the
guy?
Ashley Judd one. Ashley Judd was Ensign Robin Leffler.
Yeah.
Iggy, how's he still alive, man?
He's probably still ripped at 80
I know.
years old. Kirsten Dunst, before of course Spider-Man fame.
Yeah.
She was only 11 when she did that. It was at TNG. But yeah, tons of people. So we got really nothing on the. I mean, you guys didn't see not Beyond. I keep doing that. Discovery,
No, I didn't see it. I wanted to.
but you're going to.
Eventually, yeah, I'll get to it.
Yeah. Anything else? I thought this was going to be we were just going to run out of things to talk about.
There's tons of things you can talk about. We're not going through the seasons. We're not going through, overall, we didn't talk about this. How would you grade the Next Generation? Just stick with that, for instance. I know it's our favorite, but as a show, putting it up against other great shows, where would you put it at?
It's weird, man, because it's kind of unfair. Because here's a perspective. I look at all the money and special effects and timing of course, because special effects have grown significantly since the first 97. When did Next Gen come out?
94, I think.
94.
I could be wrong. 91, 94, somewhere in there.
It's fine.
Fact check.
Actually, I think I have it right here. Yeah. So, but if you look at 94, no, that was Next Gen. That was a film. It came out in.
I think it was Early-
94.
Did it?
Oh no, 87 to 94.
Yeah,
Holy
I know.
crap!
I know
it came out 87.
Yeah, I
remember.
knew it came out early. I was going to guess 89, but I remember it came out early because I was young when that.
Because if you ever
Yeah.
watched the first couple of seasons or first couple episodes of Next Generation, it's kind of cheesy. A little, not
Yeah.
bad cheesy like the original Star Trek, but then you watch the last couple of years of it, and it holds up really well to today's standards, and you could just tell the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, but that's where I was going, right? I looked at Beyond Discovery. Sorry, the latest series, right? And ton of money spent, special effects, and I still, I don't know if it's just me reminiscing or if it's honest to goodness storytelling that I appreciate more on the Next Gen series, and I'm leaning towards the Next Gen series because. I think that there was better storytelling.
There's
going
more
on.
meat there for sure.
Yeah. So do I think? Yeah, I would say Next Gen. As far as where I rank it,
It's in my top 10. I'll be honest with you. Shows that I've loved all the time.
yeah, definitely.
That's what I meant. Like
Yeah.
I got Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Walking Dead. I mean, Next Generation somewhere in there. I mean, I have to start thinking about it because there's other shows that I loved, but it's definitely in my top 10, maybe even my top 5.
Yeah. Well, we're in a weird place now where television is rivaling movies in quality and storytelling, surpassing sometimes.
But that's what I meant when I said it holds up the last couple of seasons. If you actually watch the last couple of seasons and the storytelling through the last seasons and how they went into each character, I think it holds up. I mean, the first couple of seasons, I guess they were just testing the waters.
Yeah.
But really, when they get in the last couple of seasons, when they all start forming a bond as characters, they all start playing poker together, which is kind of cool, and they all joking around with each other. And every character has their own little segment. Like Data has this whole thing going on with his brother throughout the seasons. What the hell? Picard always has one of my favorite episodes I forgot to bring up was where Picard got transported, his consciousness got transported 10,000 years back into a past of a planet where he had a family and all took a time frame of 26 minutes. Remember that one?
Oh.
I do remember that one.
Yeah, where they found this probe and it was like an old probe from thousands of years ago and it flashed the
Was
Enterprise.
it in his ass?
No, it wasn't in his ass.
That was an episode.
That's what aliens did. They probe your ass.
Yeah, that was another episode when they ran into an old capsule too.
Yes, that's what I meant. The old capsule, and it shocked Picard, the only one, and it put him in some kind of trance where he was almost in a coma for 26 minutes, but he lived a whole nother lifetime, thousands of years before this, and it was because
That's like the Nexus.
I don't know. It was
You know the Nexus, the ribbon that's in generations?
no, that's not the Nexus. This is just because this old civilization was dying, and they wanted to give their legacy to teach people about who they were before their civilization died.
Oh, I do remember that now.
So
That was cool. Yeah, we're getting a sign from in the wings. We got to wrap this one up. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was that as far as my train of thought just went out.
Sorry.
the window.
sorry, man, I kind of took that over.
No, but we can definitely revisit. I mean, there's so much meat on this bone. It's like,
We didn't even break the skin, dude.
yeah. We took a little nibble out of the Star Trek universe.
There's a lot to bite on.
For sure. So thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Nick, Jon, and Jamie Show. Please be sure to subscribe to our show on iTunes and Google's Play, and we got a page on Libsyn where we distribute our content. And if you're digging the show, definitely leave us a 5-star review. That would be a big help too. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram or Facebook. Just search the Nick, Jon, and Jamie Show on Facebook. We are NJJ Show on Twitter. And that would be it for this week's episode of the Nick, Jon, and Jamie Show. Enjoy your week, everybody.